In today's biased news, the US worsens nuclear tension with the DPRK, climate change halts India's rice trade, and China starts accepting Visa and MasterCard. India has officially halted the export of certain varieties of rice, one of the country's staple goods and largest agricultural export as of this week, following significant monsoon rains that damaged crops across the country. Market anxiety over inflation and general food prices continues following this action, as India accounts for more than 40% of the world's rice exports. This development, mixed with the fall of Ukrainian crop exports, is reflected by inflated food prices, as global averages are at their highest level in 11 years. Following El Niño weather patterns which resulted in poor growing conditions, the Indian government is focusing instead on domestic consumption. The food minister stated, "In order to ensure adequate availability of non-basmati white rice in the Indian market, and to allay the rise in prices in the domestic market, the government of India has amended the export policy." This followed caps on certain wheat and sugar exports late last year, believed to be an attempt at gathering support prior to a general election later next year. Despite other nations with major rice exports continuing their production, the deficit will still be felt, mostly by African nations. The grave consequences of climate change have only just begun, and have resulted in record temperatures, rising food prices, and significant destruction of the environment. The time for moderate action in collaboration with the private sector is over. The only solution towards a sustainable future for humanity is the state seizure of corporate assets, the nationalization of major industry, and an all-encompassing shock therapy of investment and construction of green alternatives from both state and forcibly seized private funds and assets. Gavin Schmidt, a prominent NASA climatologist, has stated that this July is likely to be the hottest month in hundreds, if not thousands, of years. Daily heat records have already been broken multiple times this month, indicating an unmistakable trend of extreme heat. Schmidt warns that the unprecedented heat waves seen in the US, Europe, and China are demolishing records worldwide. He emphasized that these effects cannot be solely attributed to the El Niño weather pattern, which has only recently emerged. The extreme heat is causing various challenges globally, including wildfires, torrential rain, and flooding. The World Health Organization highlights the strain on healthcare systems, particularly affecting vulnerable groups like the elderly, infants, and children. In Europe, Greece has faced new heat waves, leading to closures of archaeological sites during the hottest hours of the day. Wildfires continue to be a major concern in many countries, including Greece, Spain, and the Balkans, where a Croatian firefighter was killed during a deadly storm after the heat wave. China has experienced record temperatures in some regions, along with warnings of floods and landslides in others. Beijing and other cities have prepared for severe flooding, while India deals with the aftermath of a massive landslide that resulted in fatalities and trapped more than 100 people. These extreme weather events raise new fears about the pace of climate change, with the effects becoming more evident and affecting countless aspects of life around the world. According to state media, the DPRK's defense minister has warned the United States that the deployment of nuclear assets in South Korea could meet the conditions for its use of nuclear arms. As much as the US tries to fearmonger about the DPRK, it's worth remembering it was the US that genocided the Korean population and has kept the region in a perpetual state of war for half a century. Starting Friday, tourists and visitors in China can now connect their Visa and MasterCard accounts to China's popular mobile payment platforms Alipay and WeChat Pay. This integration allows users to conveniently book taxis, use the subway, and make purchases at millions of outlets across the country. This move represents a renewed effort by Alipay and WeChat Pay to accommodate foreign credit cards, following limited access that was rolled out in late 2019. The companies clarified that they were operating under the guidance of Chinese regulators, who aim to attract foreign investment and encourage international travelers to support the country's economy. Tesla has lodged an application to double the production capacity of its plant near Berlin to 1 million electric vehicles a year. The world's biggest maker of battery-powered electric cars, which also sometimes explode, wants the facility to overtake Volkswagen's sprawling plant in the German city of Wolfsburg, stealing its crown as Europe's biggest car factory to manufacture more battery cells. And in positive news of the day, clinical trials of a milestone Alzheimer's drug have shown that it slows cognitive decline by 35% in early-stage sufferers. The findings on donanemab were made public this week at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference by manufacturer Eli Lilly. Dr. Susan Kohlhaas, Executive Director of Research and Partnerships at Alzheimer's Research UK, says, "The outlook for dementia and its impact on people and society is finally changing." The news comes hot on the heels of the US Food and Drug Administration approving another breakthrough Alzheimer's medication, lecanemab. With any luck, we'll soon be able to completely prevent this awful disease. That's all for today. We'll be back on Monday with more news. If you'd like to see longer episodes with more in-depth analysis, consider becoming a patron so we can grow and expand.